Happy World Lymphedema Day. Today, March 6, 2022, is World Lymphedema Day. World Lymphedema Day was coined by LE&RN. LE&RN stands for the Lymphatic Education and Research Network. They are an amazing organization that I have been a part of for many, many years. They have brought me so much knowledge and education over the years. And they are an organization that helps educate doctors. They go in and really try to change the medical field and help doctors understand what can be done to help people with lymphedema. About 6-7 years ago, Kathy Bates joined up with them and she put out a video. She asked everybody that had lymphedema to tell their story. Now, I've had lymphedema for over 24 years. And I even mentored a support group on Facebook, but I had never told my story publicly. Lymphedema was something I always kind of hid. I wore baggy jeans, I wore shoes that covered my foot. I always was pretty careful about hiding that part of my life. I was embarrassed by it, I was ashamed by it, and it was not something that I spoke out publicly about. But I love Kathy Bates, and I got to thinking what she said was really true. Like, how are we going to make things better if we don't talk about it? So for the very first time, I sat in front of the camera and I told my story of lymphedema. It was a long time ago. It was a kind of a long video. If you guys are interested, you can go back and look it up. I'm not going to go through and tell you my lymphedema story today. But I do want to talk a little bit about lymphedema because I realize that even some of my friends don't really know what lymphedema is, even though I'm jabbering my mouth about it all the time. So let's talk a little bit about what lymphedema is. Your lymphatic system runs right underneath your skin throughout your entire body. It's basically your body's highway. It moves white blood cells, it moves waste, it moves hormones, it moves everything that needs to be moved throughout your body. People that have lymphedema have a break in that highway and the fluids get bottlenecked and it causes swelling. For me, I have swelling in my legs. It started in my left leg and it was due to an injury. People can get lymphedema from many different ways. They can have primary lymphedema, which means they're born with it. And maybe it's considered like a birth defect. Their lymphatic system didn't develop properly and the fluids are not able to move and they bottleneck. That's primary lymphedema. Now, secondary lymphedema, it's what I have. It's caused by an injury. It could be caused by a bug bite. It could be caused by an infection. It could be caused by a surgery. A lot of times you'll see women that have lymphedema in their arms because they've had breast surgery and they've had their lymph nodes removed, and that causes lymphedema. In fact, to find a doctor that really knows a lot about lymphedema is usually a doctor in oncology because they see this so commonly. But your average doctor doesn't usually know a lot about lymphedema. It's really a frustrating thing to deal with when you are a person suffering from lymphedema and you want to go to your doctor and get these things, get help. Anyway, I was a little over 8 years undiagnosed. When I was finally diagnosed, I was taught how to do self-care. I had a lymphedema therapist that taught me how to take care of myself. And I'm very thankful for how thorough she was in teaching me self-care because it's still to this day tough to find a good therapist, tough to get the doctors to get you to that therapist, and so on and so on. I'm also really lucky that I do have an amazing lymphedema therapist. Her name is Kathleen Listen, and she is so knowledgeable. I call her up, I text her up, I ask her questions, and I've also had the honor of having her do massages on me. But I'm just going to talk a little bit about what a day looks like in my life with lymphedema. And it changes. Like sometimes I will be in what I call a flare-up where I'm really having issues with swelling and I'm having to spend a lot of time with my leg, doing massages, wraps and night garments. And other times, like right now, I wake up, I take a shower, I lay on my chi machine, which is a machine that moves your lymphatic system, or moves your fluids in your lymphatic system. And then I do a self-manual lymphatic massage throughout my whole body. And then I put on my garment. Now, I personally wear Juzo garments. I've worn Juzo for, I'm going to say like 14 years now. For me, they're the most comfortable. I've had the best luck with them. And when you wear something every single day, from morning to night, you want comfort. So that's why I stick with them. I wear a custom fitted, made to fit, I think is what they call it. But mine has a toe cap. So I have like a little glove that goes over my toes. And then the garment goes up over my leg and around my abdomen. Now, a couple of years ago, my lymphedema has progressed to being in both legs now. So my garment now is a two-legged garment instead of the one-legged garment that I wore for years and years. Just because my lymphedema has progressed doesn't mean that my lymphedema is not under control. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but unfortunately, the nature of lymphedema is it is going to progress. Although I do take really good care of myself and I keep the swelling in check and everything, I still, as heartbreaking as it was to me, am still where I am today, and that's okay. Anyway, so I put my garment on first thing in the morning and I wear that garment all day long. It is the last thing that I take off at night before I get into bed. When I am having flare-ups, then I will wear a night garment. Sometimes I will have to do a multi-layer wrap for my leg during the day to help reduce the swelling and move the fluids. But where I am right now, I just get up, do my massage, put on my garment, go about my business, take it off, go to bed. So, you know, I spend anywhere from an hour and a half to 3 hours a day taking care of my legs just so I can function normally. So these are things that I don't think people really understand how much time and effort it takes just to live your life. So self-care, again, I was very fortunate to be taught a very, very, very strict self-care regimen. Also, I eat very clean. I don't eat anything processed, nothing from a can, nothing from a bottle, nothing from a box. No preservatives, no sodas, any of that kind of thing. So I'm very, very, very strict with what I put in my body because I want to make sure that my body has the right tools to process things as smoothly as possible. We don't want to overload anything. So that's a little bit about where I'm at right now today with my journey with lymphedema. I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope that this explains lymphedema a bit more for you. Also, I wanted to mention one more thing, actually. I wanted to make sure that sometimes I've heard people say, well, lymphedema doesn't hurt. Well, anything that's swollen always hurts, right? Like a 3-year-old sees you with a swollen leg and they say, oh, you have an owie. Yeah, because it's obvious that it hurts, even to a 3-year-old. So yes, there is absolutely an amount of pain that goes along with lymphedema because there's inflammation, there's swelling, it's uncomfortable, there's tightness. And that is a chronic thing that I live with all the time. So because I do have just my bottom line, my good day is still, ranked up with pain. Then when something happens that causes more pain, it sometimes just like is overwhelming because it's just like if you were tapped with a pencil, the pencil doesn't really hurt, right? It's not painful. But after a few hours or a few days or a few weeks or a few years, it would be very annoying and very irritating, right? And then anything that came in addition to that is just sometimes overwhelming. And people that suffer from lymphedema sometimes feel overwhelmed with just day-to-day tasks because they're also having to deal with that pain, underlying pain. So these are just some myths that I wanted to kind of clear up, because I have heard people say, well, there's no pain, you know, in with lymphedema. Medical people will say that, but if you talk to anybody that actually has lymphedema, they will tell you absolutely there's pain, and common sense kind of tells you that too. So never take these things for granted. If you know somebody that has like a weird swollen limb, make sure that they advocate for themselves and go and get checked, and they don't just let it go. Like I said, I was 8 years before I was diagnosed. And it's common for doctors to say, well, you just need to lose weight. Yeah, doc, no kidding. But maybe we can figure out what's causing me to not be able to move. So anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit about lymphedema because it is World Lymphedema Day, and I wanted to get a few myths out of the way there and a few things. So I hope this was great for you. I'm leaving a link to LE&RN underneath this video. Go donate some money to them. I don't care if it's $5. Go give them some money because they are an amazing organization. They help educate the medical field and people like me that have lymphedema. So go get involved with them, guys. Thank you so much. And you will be hearing from me more because it's March and I'm always talking about lymphedema in March.